The sun was setting over Maple Avenue, washing the quiet street in a deep orange glow. From the outside, it looked peaceful. Fences straight, lawns trimmed, the calm of a small American town. But at the corner house, that calm shattered. Crash. Then a cry. "He hit my grandma!" The boy screamed, his voice raw with fear. Ethan stood barefoot on the porch steps, clutching a torn teddy bear to his chest. His hoodie was dusty, his cheeks streaked with tears. Behind him, Clara, his grandmother, sat trembling on the porch, her blue dress torn, a bruise spreading beneath her eye. At the doorway, Ray stood swaying, a beer bottle in his hand, his eyes burning with rage. "You keep your mouth shut, boy," he snarled. And that's when the sound came, low, steady, growing louder. The rumble of engines turned the air heavy. 6 motorcycles slowed to a stop in front of the house. No one knew yet, but Maple Avenue was about to witness what happens when compassion wears leather and rides on steel. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe to Acts of Kindness Stories, where courage meets compassion. The engines idled like thunder trapped beneath the evening sky. Dust lifted from the road and hung in the light as 6 riders dismounted, their boots heavy against the asphalt. Reed's shadow stretched long across the yard. His eyes moved from the trembling child to the man on the porch who still held that bottle like a weapon. Ray sneered, trying to hide the shake in his hand. "What are you looking at?" he barked. But his words barely carried. The sound of steel chains and the low hum of engines swallowed him whole. Reed's men, Tank, Goose, Wyatt, Clay, and Mitch, spread out in a silent semicircle. None of them spoke, but their presence alone pulled the air tight. Reed stepped closer to the porch, his boots crunching against the gravel. The scent of beer and blood mixed in the air. "Put the bottle down," he said quietly. Ray smirked, though his confidence faltered. "You think you can come onto my property?" Reed cut him off. "That woman's hurt. That boy's scared. Doesn't look like your property to me." The boy, Ethan, clung to the porch railing, watching every word like it might change the world. His grandmother's breathing was shallow, her fingers trembling as she tried to hide her pain. "It's okay, sweetheart," she whispered, her voice faint. "Don't cry." But Ethan didn't stop. He couldn't. "He pushed her," he cried again, pointing. "He pushed Grandma because she wouldn't give him money." The moment the words left his mouth, something inside Reed snapped. Quietly, completely. He remembered another porch, another night, and a man with the same stink of liquor on his breath. His own mother's voice telling him to stay inside. The sound of glass shattering. The feeling of helplessness that had burned into his chest and never left. He walked up the steps until he was eye to eye with Ray. "You've got 10 seconds to step away," Reed said. Ray laughed, too loud, too nervous. "You don't scare me, old man." Reed didn't answer. He just stood there, silent, the kind of silence that carried history. The men behind him took one synchronized step forward. Boots against gravel, one sound, one warning. The neighbors peered through half-closed blinds. Someone whispered, "That's the Hell's Angels." Another murmured, "About time somebody did something." Ray took a step back. "You people think you're heroes," he said, voice cracking. "You're just thugs on bikes." Reed's expression didn't change. "Maybe. But tonight, we're the thugs standing between you and the people you hurt." That line landed like a blow. Ray froze, bottle shaking in his hand. Reed reached out slowly, took it from him and tossed it aside. The glass shattered on the porch. The sound was final. "Go pack your things," Reed said. "Now." But Ray didn't move. He looked at Clara, her torn dress, her swollen face, and something ugly twisted across his mouth. "She asked for it," he muttered. The entire crew stiffened. Tank stepped forward, his fists curling, but Reed raised a hand, stopping him. "Don't," he said softly. "We don't touch trash. We take it out." Reed pulled a phone from his pocket and handed it to Ethan. "Call 911, buddy," he said gently. "Tell them your grandma's hurt and there's been an assault." Ethan's hands trembled as he dialed, but his voice steadied when he spoke to the operator. It was the first time he'd felt safe enough to talk. Reed turned back to Ray. "You can wait here for the police," he said. "Or you can start running and they'll find you anyway. Either way, this is over." Ray glared, but fear crept in through every crack of his bravado. "You think they'll listen to a biker over me?" Reed didn't blink. "I don't need them to. I already did the part that matters." He stepped aside so Ethan could help his grandmother stand. Two of the bikers hurried up the steps, one holding a bottle of water, the other a first aid kit. They knelt beside Clara, speaking softly. Goose, who everyone assumed had no gentle side, dabbed the cut on her cheek with a clean cloth. "I'm fine," Clara whispered, but her voice quivered. Reed crouched beside her. "You're not fine," he said. "You're brave. That's different." Her eyes filled with tears. "Why are you helping us?" Reed looked at Ethan, then back at her. "Because someone helped me once," he said simply. Sirens wailed in the distance. The sound grew louder, sharper. The neighbors' doors opened wider. Someone was recording. Ray's face turned pale. When the police cruiser stopped at the curb, Reed stood calm and still. Two officers stepped out, one young, one older. The older officer recognized Reed immediately. "Reed Callahan?" he asked. "You again?" Reed nodded once. "This man assaulted an elderly woman. The kid called it in." The officers exchanged a look. The younger one moved toward Ray, who instantly started shouting. "They're lying." She fell. "These bikers threatened me." But the officers had already seen Clara's bruise and Ethan's tear-streaked face. The truth didn't need words. They cuffed Ray without another question. As they led him to the car, he shouted over his shoulder, "You think you're some kind of savior? You're nothing." Reed didn't answer. He just turned to Ethan. "Come here, champ." The boy walked over slowly. Reed knelt and handed him the teddy bear. "Your grandma's safe now. That's what matters." Ethan hugged him tight. "Will he come back?" Reed shook his head. "Not anymore." The police car pulled away, lights flashing red and blue across the quiet street. For the first time in years, Clara's house looked peaceful. Reed's men began to pack up their gear, but none of them rushed. They moved with the calm that comes after a storm. Later that night, after the ambulance took Clara to the hospital, Reed stayed behind to fix the porch railing that had snapped in the struggle. He worked quietly, the wood creaking under his hands. Ethan sat nearby, swinging his legs, still clutching his bear. "Are you a bad guy?" Ethan asked suddenly. Reed paused, looked at him and smiled faintly. "Depends who's asking," he said. "My grandma says bad men hurt people," Ethan replied. "You helped." Reed's hands stilled on the hammer. "Then maybe I stopped being bad a long time ago." When he finished, he stood and looked down Maple Avenue. The street was silent again, the golden glow replaced by the soft blue of night. But it didn't feel the same. Something had changed, not just for Ethan and Clara, but for everyone watching from behind those windows. Word spread fast. By morning, the video was everywhere. Neighbors, news feeds, community groups. People saw a gang often labeled dangerous acting with more humanity than most had ever shown. They saw Ethan's tiny hand gripping Reed's leather vest, and Clara smiling weakly in the ambulance. The local sheriff called Reed later that day. "You made the department's job easier," he said gruffly. "That man had priors. Domestic abuse. You might have saved her life." Reed didn't brag. He just said, "She saved her own. We just showed up in time." Days passed. Clara recovered. The bruise faded, but the gratitude didn't. She asked to see Reed, and when he returned, she handed him something. A small cross-stitched patch that read, "Kindness rides too." He sewed it under the Hell's Angels emblem on his vest. Weeks later, Ray stood before a judge. His lawyer spoke of misunderstanding, of too much to drink, of regret. But when Ethan and Clara walked into the courtroom, the truth hung heavy in the air. Ethan held his bear tight, standing behind his grandma. The judge's gavel came down hard. 18 months for assault and coercion, with mandatory rehabilitation. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited for Reed. One asked, "Do you think violence can ever fix violence?" Reed looked at the camera for a long moment. "No," he said finally. "But courage can stop it from spreading." That clip went viral. Not because of the words but because of the way he said them, quiet, sure, like someone who had lived both sides of the story. Later that evening, Ethan drew a picture of 6 motorcycles parked outside a small house with the words "Thank you," bikers written in messy crayon. Clara framed it and hung it by the front door. When Reed saw it weeks later, he smiled. "Looks just like us," he said. Ethan grinned. "Except you forgot your beard." Reed laughed softly, the kind of laugh that sounded like healing. "Guess I did." He walked back to his bike and looked down the street one last time. Maple Avenue gleamed under the streetlights. The world, at least for tonight, felt a little safer. Tank revved his engine. "Where to now, boss?" Reed glanced over his shoulder. "Wherever someone still thinks kindness makes you weak," he said. The bikes started together, a deep rolling thunder fading into the distance. Inside the house, Ethan watched from the window, the teddy bear tucked under his arm, whispering, "Thank you, Mr. Reed." The story spread beyond the town, shared, retold, reshaped. But no matter how many versions appeared online, one truth stayed the same. Sometimes the people the world fears most are the ones who show what real strength looks like. And somewhere down another quiet road, another cry for help would rise, and another rumble of engines would answer. Weeks passed, and Maple Avenue found its calm again. The porch was rebuilt, the flowers Clara once tended had begun to bloom, and laughter slowly returned to that quiet corner of the street. Ethan rode his bike up and down the sidewalk, his teddy bear tied to the handlebars like a little guardian watching over him. Reed came by once more, not as a savior but as a friend. He parked his motorcycle at the curb, the same spot where everything had changed. Clara met him on the porch, her smile gentle but steady. "You didn't just fix my house," she said softly. "You fixed something people stopped believing in." Reed looked at her, unsure what to say. "Maybe we all needed a reminder," he replied. His gaze moved to Ethan waving in the yard, sunlight bouncing off the chrome of his tiny bike bell. For the first time in years, Reed felt peace instead of guilt. He had spent so long carrying his past like a chain. Now it felt lighter, because he had finally turned pain into purpose. As he rode away, the sound of his engine wasn't loud or angry. It was steady, like a promise moving through the wind, a promise that kindness, no matter how rough it looks, still has power. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Acts of Kindness Stories, because every act of compassion, no matter how small, keeps that promise alive.